There we are. Good morning. Oh, Jack's here on time for the first time. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. We have got either going to be a really interesting or really dull topic. Who knows so far? But I'm banking on interesting. We're going to be doing a run over and so Chris has done his SWOT analysis for himself, kind of. Like I said to you guys, I don't know if you guys have done your homework. I haven't really done my homework. I had a think about it, and we've got kind of different understanding of what we were going to do it on. So that's going to be interesting. And then also, we'd love for you guys to participate and hopefully have a big, massive collection of everyone's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that they've got in the reselling world, and maybe on a personal level, kind of what their fall downs. That's not the word I want, is it? But I have been rough this morning. Partly, mostly because I went out on Saturday and it's made me ill, and I slept with a kink in my neck, so I didn't get to sleep till God knows what time yesterday because I was in agony. But we're here and we're ready to do analysis. Yes, you look rough. Thank you. So what the plan here is, I've got a big mind map. I'm actually going to move you guys to the bottom screen and move you down here. What am I sharing? Am I sharing the right thing? I think so. Yeah.
Looks like it, yeah.
So I've got big mind map. What do we think of colors? What color is a strength? Someone. What do we think? What color do you think strength should be?
Neck.
I was distracted. What color do you think strength should be?
Oh, green.
You want green?
Lime green, like a lime green, not a dark green. Lime green. Yeah, like that. Boom.
Okay. Weaknesses?
In red.
Not threats in red.
Oh, no, yeah. Threats in red. Weaknesses in orange is fine, I think, because it's closer to it.
That's what I was thinking. And opportunities?
Yeah. Oh, blue. Opportunities is blue for me.
Oh, I don't know about blue, you know.
Like the turquoise blue, like the one next to the lime green. That's a banging color.
Blue. Oh, that's it. Yeah. What are you thinking of? I don't like it. I disagree with them. Light blue, Jess said.
No, see, light blue. Yes, see, Jess.
What else we got? What other? Just light blue. I guess it's light blue. And we'll make the text white as well. Bang. Lovely. No other votes being cast. This is what we've got. So, okay. Do you want to talk about how you viewed your side of things and kind of what you were looking at here? Because obviously this is your topic. You're excited.
Yeah. So for me, I went specifically just for so I went really personal to me in what my business is. So eBay vintage, clothing, and then charity shops, vintage sourcing, and car boots. So I kind of just made a little amalgamation of all of the things that are important to what help me run my business in the way that I do it. Obviously, there are certain people that run their businesses with wholesalers and stuff like that, so they might have different opportunities. They might have different threats and weaknesses and strengths in there as well. So for me personally, I've just gone for everything based. It's a very selfish topic, this one. So I've gone for everything that is important to me.
Would you like people to give their opinion on what your weaknesses and strengths are?
I would, if anybody has an opinion on what my strengths, weaknesses, and that are, I would absolutely love an opinion on it, because I think it'd be super interesting. Obviously, I share quite a lot online on Instagram. Like, I go a lot of stories and I sort of blurt out my mind. So people probably have a perception of what they think I'm good and bad at based on just how much I waffle on Instagram, to be honest with you. So it would be super interesting.
That would. Well, firstly, one of your weaknesses is overestimating or underestimating how much sleep you need.
Yeah, that is it. Absolutely, 100%.
I don't know if we were here last week, right? Chris went. I told him it was crazy. Chris went on a testing streak of waking up at 3:30 in the morning to be the most productive, get everything done before anyone else was awake. And how did that go?
It lasted about 5 days all in. So basically, there was a couple of days that I skipped, but all in, I did about 5 days. And ultimately, the last day that broke the camel's back was my son's birthday, and I had to go and pick up a bike from Halfords for his birthday. And I tried fitting in the back of the van, and I've still got the racking in the van, so it didn't fit. So I had to cycle 4 miles home on this bike after being awake for 17 and a half hours and just slapping down the fattest Burger King I've ever eaten. And I proceeded on the way home to vomit everywhere multiple times, go home, then vomit again, and then get to bed at about 9 o'clock. And I slept until like 9 o'clock the next day. So ultimately, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a rough evening.
I cried in a Burger King.
Yeah, so absolutely it was an absolute nightmare. But on a more serious note, like I just felt like 3 o'clock, I was starting to crash, like in general. And normally around, like even again up at 5, right? Normally around the 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll smash a can of Red Bull, right? Keep me going until like 6 or 7, and then I'm on the come down anyway. I'll probably eat and then go and chill, watch some TV or whatever, and then I'm asleep by like 9 o'clock, right? But when I was doing the 3:30, I was smashing Red Bulls at 10 a.m. and then having to smash another one at 2 p.m. And then literally I was on by 5 o'clock, mate, I was falling asleep like most times on my desk. So absolute nightmare. But I think so basically I've gone from being one of the most pessimistic like people in the world to one of the most optimistic, and then all of a sudden I got crashed out because it did not go as I pleased.
What have you actually? Xander just said I have a nap most days. Are we throwing a nap in the middle, like a 40-minute power nap?
So for me, it would eradicate the point of getting up early. So because also like I'm a napper, but like I'll nap for like an hour and a half. So if I'm doing that, then it's not a nap, is it? It's a mini sleep.
You're just catching up on the sleep miss.
I'm basically just sleeping from 3:30 to 5 o'clock, like I normally would have done anyway. But ultimately, I think I said this to you, like if I needed to be up on a couple of days a week, or 1 day a week, or 2 or 3 days a week, and do 3:30 starts because I've just got loads to do, I'm very capable of doing that. But on a consistent 7-day a week basis, not a chance. It just doesn't work, which is fine. And like I said, I think that I was optimistic, but I love a challenge, and I love telling people that they're wrong. And a lot of people told me I was wrong, and I can't tell them that they were wrong, it is what it is.
Brilliant. Well, now that's out of the way, the experiment time's done. I don't know. So do you think we go, firstly, has anyone done their homework? Like, are people come ready with strengths and weaknesses? Now there's a few more people here. Obviously, we said we're going to do strengths and SWOT analysis this week. We want some audience participation. We want people to jump in and give us their perspective on what they're on their business and maybe their own personal strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. Andrew's put his in above. Oh, I missed that already. Strengths, knowledge, opportunities, contacts, weakness, backlog, threats. Okay, Donald Trump.
That's fair.
Make it a political podcast. Okay, so we go with some. So do you want to do yours first, or do we want to get people's first?
I think what we do is we just say strengths. We'll try and get one strength from everybody if we can. So I'll pick my best strength, or at least what I think is the best strength, right? And then everybody else can participate. We can add those in. Then we'll go to weaknesses, opportunities, and then if there's more afterwards, we could then go through and maybe do a round 2.
Okay. So do you want to give your best strength? Is this of your business or is this personality?
So this is for business. So mine will be mainly business for now, and then we can do personality ones after if we need to. Okay.
It's also crazy that the insert child is the option to add the next the next thing. Okay, child inserted. What's your?
So my overall impending strength that I think that this sphere gives us is scalability.
That's the strength of being a reseller.
Yeah, the strength of being a reseller is literally just the fact that the more you put in, the more you get out. Like that for me, like just having that ability to scale
I'll
is
see how we're gonna test my spelling and all of this, and that's not a good thing.
trust me, bro, it wasn't my good thing yesterday.
Oh, it has autocorrect. Easy. Okay.
Chuck, you can be a bit more overall. You don't have to be specific for yourself. But obviously this will be based around like reselling and eBay. So you can, as long as it's somewhat in that sphere, then I think it's fine.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I thought about it on a personal basis, like what are my strengths within the business, rather than what is the strength of the business model / thing. And it's also interesting you pick scalability, right? Because that's like one of the hardest things I think people find to do at a certain point in this business.
It is, but I also think that when you look back after like 2 or 3 years of doing this, like if you've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, just look at where you were to where you are now. It's insane. Like the growth is crazy.
But is that
someone said there it could go in opportunity, and I guess there's a argument that it could be an opportunity to scale as well, rather than a stretch. But
yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of these are going to cross over, like scalability.
Yeah, I think they do naturally anyway. And also, once we finish doing like the businessy ones, we can go back through, and if you want to do more personal ones, and then I can do personal ones. I haven't prepped any personal ones, so it'd be interesting to jump into those as well afterwards and do some personal ones.
Okay, if we're doing business ones first, okay. So this could go for me in weaknesses. It could go in opportunities. Because I think it's once you get to a certain point, it's harder to scale. And opportunity-wise, the fact that is, this is gonna be interesting. So my one would be ease of access, like in terms of reselling and close.
Entry level ability.
Oh no, we don't want to go there. I want to go here. What's the actual word for it? It's not entry level ability, is it? Ease of access. Barrier to entry.
Barrier to entry, yeah, there you go, yeah. I agree with that as well, Andy. Like every weakness is an opportunity. Every strength is an opportunity as well, like realistically. A lot of these will cross over, I think, into
barrier to entry. Okay, what was that? Okay, everyone chuck biggest strength in the thing, because I think barrier to entry is a very obvious one for this, because you can get started, and I think a lot of people did get started with basically no money, right? Like you can get started and build your way up. Like the scalability of it, I guess that pans in here, but you can get started with £10, flip it into 20, flip it into 40, flip it into 80, and grow your whole business from there, and basically take that and move your whole way up the ranks until you're basically running. Now, assuming the same with you, I think you said you started with one specific flip ages ago, and then you just run your whole business from that bank account, and you never have to put any more money in if you do it right.
I put 150 into a camera that I was using personally, and then flipped it for 300, and then that was the only money I've ever put into the business. And so it's an insanely easy and quick barrier. Like there's no real barrier at all, other than knowledge, I guess. But then the more you do it, like I had no knowledge when I first started, and then that's just when you just learn, right?
Exactly. Like it's all the barrier entry is like you need to know a few basic things, pick up a few stuff that you know to start with, right? It's super easy. That everyone says start with stuff around your house that's just lying around, and then you can move on from there and take on bigger and better things. So I think the barrier entry is pretty low, and I think it's easy to pick up and find out information on as well. Like there's not like a big gated community that you can't get access to, or information you can't get access to. It's all there for you on the internet, and you can get access to anything you need realistically.
Yeah.
So Andrew, I don't know if you want to pick one out of these because these are also kind of a little bit like these are more personal ones in terms of knowledge, contacts, opportunities. Kaylee's put flexibility, which is one of the biggest strengths of this business by a mile.
I agree with that.
But I also think it's just working for yourself in general, right? Like, I think both of these actually. So scalability and flexibility are both things that I think come with running your own business, right? Because you can use your hours, you can grow it as much as you want. Any return, any effort you put in is returned to you. Like it's not, you're not putting in on effort on behalf of someone else. It's literally anything you put in, you get out, and you can do it when you want to do it, which is again also a threat. A threat like, but I don't know if you want to do these at the same time. We probably should run through them slightly quicker.
Andy, is it Andy AC Globin? I think it's Andy, isn't it? I'm bad with names. He put strength as knowing your numbers.
So that's. I'm just going to start whacking out personal strengths.
Knowing your numbers. Knowing
your numbers is a strength.
Yes.
Oh, depend on who you are. Out of interest, why do you think knowing your numbers is a strength? And I'm sure Hanley will agree with that.
I think there's two variations of knowing your numbers as well. There's knowing your numbers, how we know our numbers, which are the bank account goes up and we know roughly what we're spending on items and we know roughly what we're selling on items, right? So we have a very rough understanding. Me a little more so when I did the spreadsheet, right? But also ultimately I've stopped doing the spreadsheet because it's exactly where I thought it was anyway. So I was just reaffirming it. The only thing that the spreadsheet did any different for me was show me what we're selling on eBay and what we're selling on Vinted, right? And it gave me a better understanding of the percentages of the two when it came to monetary value and when it came to item order numbers or whatever. But ultimately, that's one way of knowing your numbers. And then there's one knowing your numbers, which is breaking every single number down and getting it perfect. So you could do it in two different ways. And obviously, the most poignant one is probably to write it all down and get it perfect in a spreadsheet. But again, I think you can know your numbers anyway.
Yeah. I always, my claim was the same. Like, I don't think knowing my numbers would really change what I do right now because I don't have enough access to stuff to make it make sense. But I think overall, it's just a benefit to know the insides and outside, like your business inside and out, and know if you're leaking, where you're leaking money from, how it's coming out, what your average spend, like everything, just to manage your business better. It's just easy. It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Low startup cost. I think that would be barrier to entry as well. Andrew's put access to stock, which again I think it may not be stock everyone wants to resell. You can walk into pretty much any half busy car boot and get stock. Yeah, to this, what I mean in terms of scalability to a certain level, I feel like that comes in, at the start. That's a massive strength. Like you can literally find stock anywhere, and it can be anything. Whenever you want to get started, you'll come across all sort of opportunities you didn't know existed, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got a strength? Or are we jumping forward for a sec?
I think one of the strengths that I've got as well, which is not the top one that I had, is a sustainability appeal. If you sell pre-owned like items like I do, I think having as a marketing tool, right? A lot of people use sustainability as a marketing tool, and I think just in general, selling pre-owned and buying pre-owned is definitely good for the environment, stroke the world. So in general, I think that's definitely got to be up there as a strength.
Do you know what we can do? Boom. And then we can
do that on.
If I can spell it, which I can't. And then yeah, accessibility is like the same thing, I guess. Or startup cost.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Strength, not being attached to your stock. Don't hoard it. So that's like a personal strength again.
Yeah, that's a really good one though. Because I know people that are like, they'll buy stuff and they'll really like it, and then it'll come to selling it. And say, for instance, they pay like £3 or £4 for it, right? And it's worth like 200, and somebody might offer them 140 or 150 for it. And they'll be like, Nah, no shot. It's worth 200.
You talking about me?
Pay you £3. You're going to make over £100 profit. Let's just accept the offer and move on to the next one.
Are you talking about me, basically?
No, you are a person that is a little bit more unwilling to accept like bigger percentage offers or whatever. But there are a few people in general that I know that are a little bit more attached to their items, which is fine. But there is some strength in just being able to say, I don't care about this item. I'm just selling it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that one. Yeah, I agree with that. So if you want a personal like one from me, and it's actually the same. I don't know if it's. What would you call an ability to build relationships? I don't really know.
Communication. Communication's a very broad sort of overview of it, but communication, what would you say? But I think building relationships, like just the ability to build relationships, like you don't have to break it down into a fancy word. It is just relationship building. Like,
yeah, so that's something that's been massive for me.
There you go. Xander's put rapport in. That's basically it. You can build rapport.
Yep, that's it. Literally exactly that. So that's in a personal strength for my business. I've only been able to do what I can do up until this point because I've built enough relationships with the people at like charity shops and stuff around me to allow me to do what I need to do, especially to a better standard. Like I started at car boot sales and charity shops. Then when I switched to charity shops, I could barely get enough stuff to cover myself for the 5 a day that I used to do. And when I went up to 10 a day, I really struggled in the winter. And this winter, I have not struggled in the slightest. Like it's been very easy and has only gotten easier as time has gone on because I've built more relationships with people, and that's just really helped my business, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's been massive strength for my business so far. And hopefully I can do that in a different way as well. Like obviously right now it's charity shops and that's helpful. But aside from that, I'd like to build relationships outside of that.
Do you think that you could build relationships in a similar way at car boots, or do you think that most car booters aren't necessarily people that can repeat stock? Because in America, obviously, with flea markets, a lot of people will source from the Goodwill bins and stuff, and they'll do that on a repeat basis, and that's their business. Whereas in the UK, when it comes to car boots, there aren't necessarily those people that can get it at such a cheap margin that they can then sell it to you for a cheap enough margin. Do you think that's something that you can do over the next 12 months, or is that something that you think might be difficult to do?
I mean, I've debated that topic about 1 million times. But I think it's very difficult to get that done in the car boots in the UK. You might stumble across a few people every now and then that will be able to bring you that sort of stuff. And I think so. Andrew just put here that house clearance people. So they are always normally good sources, depending what niche you're in, especially like you can get really like books and stuff. Yeah, and some electronics. Yeah. You can get very well in with house clearance people, and they can bring you a lot of stuff. I think for clothing, I've never had too much luck with them generally, but I haven't chased that hard because when I view a relationship, I try and imagine like effort in versus output, right? So there's a certain level to maintain a relationship, and I also I want to bring enough value to them to make it worthwhile their side. So if they get clothes all the time, but it's never anything I want, then it's not that useful to me or to them, because I'm just wasting kind of both our time. But I have to go look at their stuff, and obviously you can teach them kind of how to source for you and what sort of stuff you're after, and they can contact you when that's a thing. But I think it's much more difficult. But I think there's definitely opportunity for it. But I think it's just hard. Like it's much more difficult than people that get wholesale or low cost of goods to then flip it to you again for a smaller profit than what you would make to still work for you. It's difficult. And I think a lot more people are out for it themselves in the UK and would also rather, but it depends. Depends on the. I think it's an opportunity, but I think it's hard.
Okay. Sure. Right. So I've got a personal strength for me that it's the most obvious strength that I have, which is just my unrelentless work ethic. I think work ethic is probably the one that is the biggest of all of my things that I think I'm the best at. It's just getting it done, getting on with it, and just doing it.
I mean, I think that's such a good strength for like anyone, right? So mine is that would be going a weakness for me, to be honest with you. I could probably put on the next one.
Do you know what could be quite interesting as well? If we choose, because we know each other pretty well now, and it would be interesting to choose a strength for each other that isn't already on there.
Oh, okay. And if anyone wants to pick a strength for us, anything else, that's no. Also, we're gonna have to hurry this up because we're 25.
Yeah, we'll have to be a bit quicker. But for me, right, like in terms of strengths for you, I think one of your best strengths is being able to analyze a situation or a thing. And you always, at least in my experience, you've always come out with what I would consider the best option or mindset or thought process on that. So I think your ability to analyze like conversations and situations and come out with what I would deem the better of the thought processes or reactions to it.
So
how you would frame that as a strength, but
I'd say critical thinking.
Yeah.
That's like a general word for analyzing and for coming out.
That's something that I've learned while I was talking to you is that I can come with you and say, I could come to you and say something, and then 5 minutes later you'll be like, this is what I think. And when you've broken it down and given me an explanation on it, ultimately you're very good at telling me how I think about it after the fact. Because I'll come at you with this, you'll reframe it and think of it in a certain way, and then I'll come to listen to it and I'll be like, do you know what, he's actually right? And you know what I mean? So I think that's something that wisdom, there you go, AC Global.
Wisdom makes me sound old though. Wisdom makes me sound like an owl. I see yours is interesting because I was thinking similar-ish, but I was thinking on your side of things because I think that's why we get on quite well. It's simultaneously that it goes in with work ethic slightly, but the willingness to put effort into thinking something through, like depth of thought, and literally. So you will go away. So you'll get, and you would have thought about everything. Like if you get onto something, you put all that your effort into thinking about it, and it will run through your head, and you'll give it massive depth of thought and come up with ideas and thoughts about it all the time. Yeah. Whereas I'm very in the moment person, you will go away and work on it. And I don't really know what to call that, but I'm just going to call it depth of thought because it allows you to think through a lot of things. And your willingness to be adaptable is also really interesting. Like when you put the thought into something, if it makes sense, you apply it. Or you'll follow it up. You won't just think of something and say something. You're actionable. Actually, probably actionable might be the word.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that applies to a few things, but you will take an idea, you will take a thing that you need to do, and you will go do it. Like even just think about the idea. Like I told you to go away and think about something, you'd go do that like in depth.
Yeah, 100%. Has anybody got any thoughts on us personally? I'd be interested. I don't think anybody will want to say anything because I think it's a bit of a weird thing, but
I'd love to hear weaknesses and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I love when people tell me like critiques of stuff. The podcast. Tell us the strengths and weaknesses of the podcast.
I think that it's quite funny that both of our strengths for each other were some of the reasons why I thought the podcast might be a bit weird is because you're very good at, like, if I ask you something now, you could probably mull it over in your head quite quickly and give me a reasonable response, right? Whereas if you were to ask me a question and it tickled my brain, I'd be good at coming back next week and telling you an answer because I could think over it way more in depth. And I think that's where I was worried that in the podcast that I might look a little thick at times because I might not be able to give the answer that I want to give based on the fact that I haven't got the time to mull it over as much as I would like, if that makes sense. The speed in which my brain works isn't as quick as some people's, but I do put the effort into trying to work it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't even think that's true. I think you pulse. I'm just gonna say like you're lazy and each other. Yeah, I think you're really good at this. Anyway, weaknesses. Right. What have you got for weaknesses? Because we have to speed this up.
Right. Okay. So for me, I have two that I think are very poignant in our business, which are The time consuming in sourcing, so time consumption when sourcing's a very big like time dump.
So do you just want to go time consumption?
Yeah, I think sourcing specifically is the one. So sort time.
Sourcing.
Yeah, time is essentially a weakness because I think it doesn't matter how you do it. Like at a car boot, there might be an hour there, hour back, plus 2 hours at a car boot. That's a lot of time. Vintage, you could sit there all day and not find anything. It's all about what comes up. And charity shops, again, you could hit 50 charity shops and not buy anything if it's all crap. So I think there's just a lot of time output when it comes to sourcing. So I think that's definitely one. And then
I mean, I think it's you say any way you do it, right? But Andrew, who's just left, probably has too much stock because he just wholesales half of it and like gets in, he doesn't and then has, and even when he goes sourcing, from what I understand is it deals with charity shops and stuff like that, he just has it, he comes back with loads, like pretty much straight away. And obviously Hanley's is interesting because she does put loads of time in, but then also again, it's not like it goes in waves, I'd say. And then other people, if you're a quick sniper, it depends. If you can figure out a contact, like all these things decrease sourcing time as you go on. And if you can figure that out, because I don't think that's an overall weakness, but I'd say for the standard ways of doing things, which is car boots, charity shops, online sniping a little bit, all do take a monumental amount of time. Some quicker than others, and obviously depends on luck. But aside from that, it's effort. That's the biggest time suck for me. And I guess if we're talking about our businesses personally, for both of us, obviously, we're both out basically from 9 to 5, or 9, me probably closer to 10 to 5, on multiple days a week to try and get the stuff in, and then have to come back and you do it in the morning, and I come back and do it in the evening, which is the other side of the business, which actually that could probably go into strength of this business, is the actual like mechanic side is really easy. Like it's, once you've got it down and understand it, it takes not that much time. Like you can do the actual eBay side and everything else, depending on how many you do a day, in very minimal amount of time compared to everything else. So sourcing time's interesting. Okay, what's your other one?
My other one was storage, just space to work, because it can obviously become costly if you need to move out of, if you don't have somewhere at home. Like for me, for instance, my dining room is set up as a office with photography space and stuff. And then I had a shed in the back garden, which I outgrew. And now I have to have the shed, the office, and I have to have a container at the same time. So that's added extra cost. And obviously, space is just a big issue.
So that made me think of this because you can't move away from your space. So like if you're running a business, right, an online business, or lots of other forms of businesses, consulting or something like that, it's very difficult. It's much easier to move around. Whereas with this, in the week especially, you've got postage to do, all your stocks here, your listing setups here. And it is the case for a lot of businesses, right? Like they are brick and mortar stuff. But realistically, you can't be flexible. Like if you want to take time off, you either need to have an employee to come in and take over for you, or you just need to.
Yeah, you have to give a week off. You have to just have a week off, everything.
Which sucks. And I think that's the same for a lot of people, but I think that's still a weakness of businesses a lot of the time.
And also, if you want to go away for just a long weekend, the admin in that is quite difficult as well, just based on the fact that, like, if you wanted to do like a Thursday to Monday or a Thursday to Sunday, like you've still got to post Thursday morning. Like, especially if you do post every day, right? Like I post every day, so my ability to go away Wednesday to Friday is non-existent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and the more you do, the worse it gets, somewhat, until you. So I'm just switching these screens around because I'm tired of looking down at you rather than. Okay. It's difficult, and I think, and the other thing that comes into flexibility is the fact that it's literally your choice. Again, this is where like a weakness comes in for this business. And again, running a business in general is what, if you can choose your own hours, sometimes you choose not to do anything because no one's making you do anything. So you got to do it all yourself, which is a lot of effort sometimes. What have we got weaknesses wise? Distraction. I think that's a personal thing and a business, like, and just nowadays.
It's one of my biggest weaknesses, Tasha, I'll tell you. I'll see one thing or I'll respond to one message on Instagram and then I'm on it for an hour. It's the worst thing in the world, man.
Yeah,
it takes away so many hours of my week, I'm telling you.
There's a lot of time sucks nowadays with like the access, like the ease of access to everything, which is like obviously a great thing for the modern day, is also terrible in terms of keeping on track and being so bored you don't have anything else to do but work. That's an ideal when you've got nothing else to do but work, so that's your entertainment. But in this day and age, you can do anything all the time. So what we got? Time is a weakness for me. I'll put that up. I still have 2 full bales of Patagonia that have been in my container for 2 to 3 months, and I still haven't opened. Also, I got 18 Bell staff jackets just sitting there.
That's like nearly 2 grand's worth of Bell staff jackets.
Feel free to resell them. You know where to go. You want to get rid of them.
Do you want to wholesale them out? I'm here.
Well, it depends what they look like. I'm assuming he wholesale them in, to be fair. So I'd be interested in what those look like. But yeah, time constraints. I assume that's because Andy still works a full-time job, doesn't he?
Time organization, or what's the word for time organization? Like just time management in general. I mean, I think my time management's okay, but the fact that I get distracted quite a lot probably means that it's not right.
So if I was doing a personal weakness for me, that would 100% be on mine.
Yeah, procrastination's under. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't spell anything though, so it doesn't spelling. Yeah, time management would definitely be one for me, because again, I think that comes with flexibility, right? Like you need to be on top of it. Like and the bigger you get, the more time management you need, the more organization is like another one for me that I'd say is a weakness for me. Because although I kind of have everything working-ish, so yeah, nice win. Like my organization skills just in here are bad. Like they're just keeping on top of my storage unit in general is I'm not good at. Like it's
and the irony is, the more space you have, the less organized the more organized you should be, because you've got more space. But the less organized I am. The more space I've got, the less organized I become, because I go, oh, I've got space, I'll just dump it over there out the way, and then I don't organize anything. So that's one of mine as well.
Yeah, because your organization, I meant to put procrastination. Procrastination. Damn it.
Sticking to a plan is a big one, vintage. Like it's a really, especially if there's outside noise, right? One of my weaknesses, I would say, is I get distracted by what other people are doing. I've gone through this a million times, but there's other people in the community that are doing infinitely better than me, and I was obsessed with learning how they did it so that I could copy what they were doing, because that's what I wanted to do. But ultimately, my business was run in a completely different way, and it just doesn't make sense to run my business their way at all. And in fact, when you broke it down, I didn't want what they wanted. I just wanted the result of what they were doing and not the work that they were doing. So that was one of my biggest ones, is I wasn't sticking to my own plan of knowing exactly what I want to do and just sticking to it.
Okay, that can go into a strength generally is consistency, which like in terms of that, like picking a plan and just being consistent with it is massive, and not being distracted. So this is interesting. The 5-second rule. I use that for when I'm scared of stuff, right? Like if I'm about to do something, I need to do something, I'll just count and I'll go. Like it's like mine's 3 seconds, but that's interesting that they use it to stop thinking about it. What does that apply to in reselling? Like what are you using that for?
I think she used it. So when I watched that podcast as well, and she used the process for like when you're lying in bed and the alarm's gone off and you know you're going to get up, but you also know it's cold and you don't want to. You just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just get up. Like that's kind of like what she was saying. That I think she got it from somebody else. So But ultimately, if you're sitting there and you're like, right, I've got to do pictures, I've got to do drafts, I've got to do all this, and then you can just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right, pictures, let's go, and or just pick what you want to do. And I guess ultimately, if you can do that on repeat, at some point you're not even going to need to think about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're just going to get up and do it. Like,
but that is what happens to me. Like, so I got into, like, you know, ice bath, cold plunge, cold.
Yeah, I got the idea of it. Still haven't done it.
I cold showered for months, like, and every time before I'd get in the shower, I just count down to go in and then just step in. Right, like, there's no hesitation. You just do the thing, and then eventually, like, I was just like, okay. And then that was it. And now, for example, with this, like, if I'm in Instagram well distracted, I just suddenly wake up. Like, I just wake myself up. I'm like, no, we're going. Like, I would say that to myself in my brain. I'm like, time to go, and then you just move, and you don't think about the fact you have to move. Like, you just go, and that makes a big difference to me. Also, do you know what's interesting about these? A lot of these, like, I feel like you could come up with a lot of personal weaknesses. Like, a lot of these things are like things you have to handle yourself. Obviously, you gave sourcing time and storage, but for procrastination, organization, distractions, flexibility, time management, all go into stuff you can deal with yourself, and you can work on and get better at. So I think that's, again, in terms of other weaknesses for this business, though.
Inconsistent inventory was one. So, like, just and obviously we spoke about this before, but the more Aran jumpers that you sell, the better you are going to be understanding what an Aran jumper is. So it's going to be faster for you to photograph. It's going to be faster for you to draft, right? But because we source a lot of items that are different on a consistent level, then when we're going to do the drafts and stuff, it just becomes more time consuming, and that is a weakness in itself. Is I guess just not getting the same stock over and over again, or is it? I don't know.
I mean, there's also the, like, the numbers are predictable over a long time of averaging, but in terms of, like, day-to-day business, everything's very inconsistent. Like, in terms of how much you're spending, how much you're bringing in, it's inconsistent. Like, each day is going to be different, which is kind of fun as well, like, in a weird way, because you don't know what you're going to get. But I think the whole thing's inconsistent. And sorry, Andrew's meeting's finished already. he was gone for like 10 minutes. It can't be that much of a threat. But yeah, I think the whole thing's inconsistent. But you can make it consistent by, again, you being consistent over time will lead to consistent results.
Yeah.
But generally, in terms of day-to-day operations and numbers and stuff like that, it's reasonably inconsistent, which isn't the best thing to do about. And obviously, your side of it is making processes slower. Is that you get different stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it. The good thing that, for example, especially if you're an everything seller, that it becomes a problem with postage as well. Like, wrapping different things, posting different things is going to be inconsistent and take different amounts of time for you each day. For me, it's pretty smooth now. Like, with clothes, it's just kind of the same stuff over and over again. Takes 2 seconds, everything goes in a poly bag, and off you go. But realistically, anything bigger than that and obscure, it takes a lot. Like, it takes so much longer to post.
This is what I was saying about, like, me saying that I wanted somebody else's business. I spoke to Hanley about it, and I said, like, her ability to source in bulk and get really good profit margins and stuff, incredible. Then you don't think about, and a picture, and she says she does like 3 or 4 pictures per item or whatever. But what you don't think about is that they have to research part numbers when they're drafting. So they have to faff about with part numbers, get all that correct. And then imagine posting like 60 car parts a day or whatever, where it could be the biggest thing in the world, or it could be a small little bot. Like, do you know what I mean? The inconsistency in that itself is more of a hassle to me than me having to go out and source my items one by one. I would much rather do that than have to stand at a desk packing up and finding boxes for all these different size parcels that I just couldn't be. And then for me as well, like, my parcel shop would not want me to be dropping off 30, 40 car parts that were big, massive.
Mine would not fit. I get a bag in the corner.
I'd have to change my entire outlook of everything just to be able to get what you know what I mean? So, like, you can want one part of somebody's business, but ultimately the trickle down effect is that you wouldn't want 2 or 3 of the other parts of it.
Yeah, facts. Everything comes with their different struggles. All right. Anyone else got any weaknesses? Because we're running out of time. Because opportunities is going to be an interesting one though, because I actually think for me this is harder to think about. Like I'm not sure like on too many opportunities in this business, or unless you're talking about like opportunities it gives you in life, then I'm not sure exactly how many opportunities there are in this, but there is opportunity everywhere, but like they're the kind of the same opportunities over and over again.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've got a couple, but not that are standout good ones. I've got one that's my favorite of the 5 or 6 that I've got.
Okay, get me.
So mine is the ability to sell worldwide for us with eBay. Like we have the ability to. I've sold stuff to Australia recently. I've sold stuff to Japan. Like if I was in a brick and mortar shop, the only time I'm ever selling to Japan is if somebody comes from Japan to buy it and then comes. Do you know what I mean? Like so, the ability you have the opportunity for just sales across the world.
I'm wondering, like that's like your audience, not an audience access, but a customer base. The customer base is kind of massive with eBay. I guess eBay is kind of the opportunity.
Yeah.
Itself. Like, obviously, I think eBay is a massive opportunity in this business. Same with Vinted. Like, I think you can just chuck them money easy. The fact that we have these platforms to sell on that make our life a million times easier. Oh no, don't go back. I'll lose everything.
I actually think one of your strengths could be an opportunity as well in terms of building relationships.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Like there's opportunities for that sort of thing everywhere.
Yeah, whether that's you. I mean, you could just put one, but like you can make contacts at car boots. You can make contacts at charity shops. So I do think, I do think that you can. That's an opportunity in itself, being able to build relationships with those sorts of people. Or if you're in handling shoes, you're building relationships with other people. It's an opportunity to source stock from other people, like that she like when she goes to meet these people and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So relationships is definitely one big opportunity.
Like that's the biggest opportunity. Like for like you couldn't work it out. If you want to go like a stupid one, like you could go financial freedom for like running your own business. Again, is kind of
it's kind of personal, but yeah, like it gives you the ability to. There is an opportunity where, again, if you had employees, right? If you built big enough, you could have all your employees running your entire business like a normal business. Like the CEO of Tesco isn't it? Tesco's like running around filling shelves and stuff, right? So like you could have theoretically just be the guy that's at the top and just have everybody else do all your work, and you could. But that's the same opportunity for every business. You know
absolutely, you could make your way there.
Eventually.
It's possible, right? It's not. It's very possible. You could do that now if you wanted to. You just take a lot less money.
I could do it. I could do it now. So I could just say, leave the missus to do my job like now, and then leave my brother to do the pictures and the drafts, right? When that happens, and I don't have to work then. Like theoretically, obviously I'm going to make less money, but theoretically I could just bin it all off and leave them to it.
That's time freedom, really, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
But, and I think this all comes under that. This comes under flexibility again.
Yeah, and I do think there's going to be some crossover between the three as well.
Because it's the flexibility to do whatever you want with your business. Like it's not just you can do it when you want. It's how you want. It's everything. You can make it work to however you want it to look. And if that's, for example, I got a friend who runs a gym over there, like just around the corner from me, and he doesn't earn like the biggest amount of money, but he has freed up a lot of his time to put like other personal trainers involved and not just him running the business. And then that's allowed him to explore multiple other avenues for revenue generation and stuff like that. But from the actual gym itself, yes, it's decent, but it's compared to what he could be if he did it all himself. He doesn't earn anywhere near as much money, but he's got so much time that he's now taken on multiple other things and gets multiple other money sources because he's used that business to free himself up whilst bringing in an income. So
I said it very like in one of the calls, like in the last couple of months, which is Like, I have the ability to make a decision. So when I was in my previous job, I would go to my manager or my boss or whatever and be like, I think we should implement this. And he would say, no, that doesn't work. And you could just go, cool, I can't do anything about that, right? Whereas now I decided that I wanted to get up at 3:30 because I thought that was a great idea. I implemented it. We went through the motions, and I can also revert back. Now that might have worked, and you can use that from any. I could be running a 25% coupon, right? I can decide to do that, and I can also revert, or I could say that worked really well. I'm going to keep it on. Just the ability to make a decision, implement the decision, and then also have the ability to say, well, actually that didn't work, or it did work, and then you can also account like for that as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about what we do now, is that I can make a decision and revert on that decision or keep that decision based on how I find it. So I can do my own trial and error. Whereas when you're going to a CEO, even as a manager, when I was a manager, I'd go to my boss and he'd be like, yeah, you can't really do that.
It's like 15 people you have to talk to before you can make any change.
Exactly. So the ability to just make the decision, whether it's good or bad, I think that's the fun part. Just trying to work out what's good.
That's just that's something I enjoy as well. And also something I missed out on earlier that I just remembered thinking about it is, so opportunity in terms of like I said earlier, the, access to stuff to learn. Like there is a wealth of knowledge from all over the people, from all sorts of people. Yeah. And Kaylee put it earlier, but I forgot to put it in strengths, is community, right? Like this community is massive. There's loads of people willing to help you. And already lots of free content, and I'm just going to put it in opportunity in this because it will give you access to so many things you didn't know you could do, and different ways of thinking that you would not have thought of otherwise. Like, for example, you said you went and looked at Hanley's business and then looked at all the things that she was doing, and she was willing to talk to you about that. You made her as a contact, people in bigger in business, you different stages. And then she gave you a different perspective on it. And she was like, this is how this works, and this is how this works. And you weren't even thinking like that. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And ultimately ruined my thought process of how I would want to do what she does. And now I go, no, absolutely not. She might have one element in her business that makes it, in my eyes, easier. But then all of the other things are infinitely more difficult than what I have to do. So, yeah, it's just giving yourself. And also one of the opportunities is just that literally there's no end to how much you can learn. If you want to look at that as well, like the knowledge you can gain from doing this is an opportunity in itself, just to learn so much about everything, and that kind of falls in the community side of it as well, I think.
Yeah, I think it's well, you can almost forever improve in a lot of things. Like there's no, and the more you improve, the better your results will get. It's like the whole time invest, time out thing. If your knowledge gets better, your business will improve. If your processes get better, your business will improve. If you get better relationships with people, your business will improve. Like you can improve in so many different areas, and it's make little jumps all the time, which is nice. I think that's fun of the game as well. Community also gives the opportunity to make money, affiliate deals, selling to other resellers. Yeah, Andrew loves an affiliate deal.
He loves
promoting. Don't stop promoting random stuff that I do not care about.
He's probably got a zip sell, a Accelerator. He's probably got a Fleek. He's probably got everything, man.
Anything you want, he's got it in his belt.
If you need a code for anything, just go into Money Mental's Facebook page and ask him.
Did he just call? He just called it Hanley and Sue on their podcast.
Sue, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny. Yeah, in terms of other opportunities, though, in terms of like this actual business and what opportunities it gives, I don't know. Like, I think opportunities are simple.
I think scalability falls into opportunity as well. Just like, again, that's another one that kind of just falls into it as well with the financial freedom and flexibility. It kind of there's a sphere of things that will mix in. I'm big about the fact that you can just build this to what you want. There are plenty of people, I know a few, that really just do this so that they can live a life that they want. They don't work crazy hard all the time. They're listing 10 or so a day. They're living life. They're going on holidays. They're always enjoying themselves. They're not too stressed about it. And that is that's an opportunity to build around the lifestyle that you want. Whereas other people that are like wanting to get to the tippity top of everything and then they're completely different people, but it gives you the opportunity to do either or, right, or anything in between.
Facts. Yeah, it's again, just the idea of running your own business is this is a lot of this is just the positives and negatives of business, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
you can do whatever you want when you run your own business, but it comes with a lot more responsibility and effort at most part.
oh yes,
like, that's generally how it goes. Okay, threats. Threats is an interesting one because I think there's a few threats at the moment. I feel like
I really like Shells the Rooney.
Charity shops go fully online. Where to source in the winter?
It's something we've had a brief conversation about in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where theoretically a lot of people go, oh, charity shops wouldn't exist without us resellers. And you could argue that you're somewhat right in the sense that charity shops would probably become a little less around the country, but they will shift all of their stuff online and they will just sell everything online. And I think there's still a sourcing opportunity in there because I know people that source from the charity shop eBay stores. I also know a few people that will source directly from a vintage charity shop store, not the more well-known ones, but more like of the smaller niched, like community charities. A lot of those guys have vintage stores as well.
Yeah, and I think more and more will go that way. And I also think so I just put sources running dry because I think that goes for a lot of things, because I think charity shops might start to die not only because they're not doing well in business, but people aren't donating the same thing. But not only buying habits have changed, but donating habits have changed because of platforms like Vinted. Like since Vinted come around, I've spoken to multiple shops where they're like, we don't get the same quality of stuff anymore because everyone is selling it themselves because they're at home. It's super easy, the ease of access to that sort of thing. Like I said, the ease of access to this business is very easy. And Vinted has come along and made that even easier. eBay was a bit complicated for some people, but now it's even if you have no idea what you're doing, like a couple of minutes uploading, maybe like some random photos and then uploading whatever you need to. So that has made everything worse. And I think that's the same with anything though, right? Like for example, if you rely on a wholesaler, right? And that's your go-to, and then they can also dry up. Like there's a whole chain of it now where the ragmen don't want to buy from the charity shops because they can't sell to their sources, which means the sources that they were selling to and getting back to you hasn't worked out because they're full of stock over there because people aren't buying because the economy's bad. Blah 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 blah. It's like an endless chain of problems that can occur at any point in time, which I think was why having one opportunity to source is never the way. You especially if it's super heavily reliant, like you can sway the weight of what you're getting from somewhere. Like, oh, if this is working really well and this is reliable for the moment, I can weigh this quite heavily. But as soon as you see threats or anything come in, you can have to start switching it. Like you have to push it one way or the other. And if someone's bringing you a lot of good stock, you swing that way. And then if it starts drying up over there, then you swing back the other way. But there's a lot of stuff that like reasons different sources can dry up at any point in time.
So a couple of mine were economic downturns. So like just the economy in itself is something that I've been thinking about massively recently, just how bad it has been. And I was, slightly off topic, but kind of poignant as well. I was watching a podcast where someone said that in the last X amount of years that minimum wage has gone up by 20%, but the cost of buying a house has gone up by 200%. So those sorts of scales, like it doesn't, you can obviously like housing markets have boomed anyway, but like in general, like the percentage in which our minimum wage goes up versus how much everything's costing is insane. So
that's interesting to do that though, because I see reselling and stuff like that as a reasonably recession-proof business sometimes. Like I think in a recession, people are going to buy less new, more used if they do want to buy. And Andrew's put it as we live in a consumerist society. There will always be a surplus of stock as a result, and a high demand. Just need to find where the stock is. So that's for the last one, but also for this one, because people always want to spend money, even if they don't have it. Like even they don't have money, and if you are the best option for them to spend their money, that's a great opportunity for you in general, in my opinion. Like although it might not be as good, I don't think you'll ever not have people buying from you if you have stuff that people will want, even if they don't have as much money. Like, yeah. But so it's complicated like that. But it definitely affects business. But I think it's also, this business is good. Like you can survive a lot of the time if you just get more picky and smarter with what you do and what you pick up and what people need. Reselling is generally a pretty good place to be, in my opinion. That might be completely wrong though.
Do you know what? I have this conversation with a few people, but like I always say that why would I not buy a pre-owned Ralph Lauren quarter zip for 30 quid versus a Tesco's home brand quarter zip for 35 new? Because the quality of the Ralph Lauren is going to be better. But I just wonder whether people will become less brand orientated, or do we think that would still be something that people will maintain even if it continues to be bad?
I don't know, because people are still going to flex,
yeah,
stuff, and people love to flex. In that sense, in terms of the Tesco, people won't want to buy secondhand sometimes, but I think that barrier's been broken down a lot, or all sorts of things.
Definitely.
So Andrew's gone on about it, and Andy's gone on about, which is legislation of different laws and stuff coming in that could affect us. When you guys say that, have you got something specifically in mind that you think would cause massive interest, like regulatory or legislation? I'll put regulatory because I think that's easier. Like, do you have a massive regulatory change that you think could threaten everything, or are you just kind of winging it? Like, in terms of yes, it could impact us or change it in some way, but is there anything in mind? Banning secondhand, why would they do that?
So I think more on a company specific basis. So for instance, there's a couple of Veros and stuff, right, for certain brands. So there is a potential that maybe, say, one day Architects say, we don't want any more pre-owned. We want the pre-owned market as well as the new market, and we're going to offer the ability to sell and buy Architects back. And they don't want that on eBay or Vinted anymore, and they go on like a massive Vero and striking ban and start clearing you out. Now, obviously, that's a brand that's a little harder to get anyway, so it wouldn't be as impactful. But somebody like Levi's might do it. Somebody like Adidas or Nike might do it. Like, then that wipes out a very big market for what we want to do.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know what to call that in terms of companies going secondhand. I don't know what the exact words would be there for companies deciding they want to do it themselves. And there's also been talk of eBay moving in that direction as well, where they just want it to be a big company secondhand platform. And I think that's a very scary place for the little people like us. I think there's still space around for us, but I think if they do move that way and we get pushed out and they get promoted, then our life becomes a lot more easy. I don't know what to call it. Anyone got a good name for it?
There's a brand called Paramo, which a lot of people will know. But on eBay, they have their own official Paramo store, which sells pre-owned items at a pre-owned price. So that's quite interesting. Paramo isn't something that they're not like Vero and everybody or whatever, and they're not like blocking people's sales. But yeah, Paramo have their own pre-owned eBay store, which is interesting.
And with Cecil
outlet store for new items. I don't know. They might have a pre-owned.
I didn't even clock that Paramo's is all secondhand, isn't it?
So yeah, the Paramo store is a pre-owned one, and the Cecil one is more of an outlet for cheaper goods or whatever.
So a big one that I've had talked about recently is AI as a threat.
Yeah.
And AI bots in terms of buying stuff, in terms of listing and processing, it could make the big players who have money be able to come in and invest it heavily into AI and make all their procedures and everything super, super easy. You kill a war. I mean, it's not wrong. Like, it isn't wrong. I think that's just a threat to the world. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think it has anything to do with us. But yeah, I think I think AI coming in and basically automating big companies' processes, which means all they need to do is buy stock, right? And if they could have the fastest processes and don't have people working for them and stuff like this and have the lowest cost and the quickest sell through, then they can afford to buy more and more for more as well. Like they can afford to outbid so many people because of what they're capable of processing versus anyone else. And I think that
margin doesn't need to be as high either. They could run off like a more of an Amazon profit margin. But
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so they could
Like,
pay like £10 and sell it for 15 and make a very small profit. But if they're doing that thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands across the board,
it's like running a supermarket, isn't it? It's like running a supermarket. Like the percentage markup on supermarket stuff that they buy is not that high. Like they run off small margins and they just bang out tons of volume, and that would be the case for people like this. They just come in and wipe everything out and make everything a super competitive market. But there is lots of like things like this where there is massive players that have taken over spaces, but there is still opportunity within that to play your field. So it's scary, and I think it would make things harder. And I think this is just getting progressively harder. But there's normally a space for you to play if you're good enough. It just probably means we'd all need to get a bit better and think a bit harder.
I think, like, I would say it's harder now. So when I first started, I thought this was hard, right? Because of my knowledge wasn't very good. And now my knowledge is better and my understanding of business is a little bit better and my understanding of this business is infinitely better. I actually think it's harder now than it was then, even though I thought it was hard then, just based on the fact that my knowledge and my dependency on all of these factors is relied on a lot more heavily now than it used to be. Because if you go into charity shops now and you're looking for stock, like they're getting smarter and they've got more knowledge. So you have to kind of out-knowledge their increase in knowledge. And you're basically like playing this weird cat and mouse game of like, I know a lot of I talk to pretty much every charity shop manager I go in now. And because I go to Roots more regularly, I see them a lot. They know exactly what I'm doing. And every single time I pick up like 3 or 4 items, they're always clocking me. There's one guy that's local to me, like in my town, they have an eBay store now. And every time I go to the counter and I buy things, he always takes the tag to look at the price and then at the same time checks what brand it is. Yeah. Every single time. And
same way.
And it's literally, so you're looking at it going, so you're using me as your knowledge base.
Your metric to know what's good and not good.
Yep. And he knows, the thing is as well, he'll try and, so he's quite smart. He'll try and push it. So he won't go, I bought a sea salt plant hunter jacket from him, right? And I'm going to mention it again. I bought it off him. I paid £8, right? It was sun faded or whatever, but he might now go, I can put that up for 20.
Yeah.
And Chris might still buy it. I might not, but he might also put it up to 12. And I'd probably still buy it at 12. Do you know what I mean? So he's using it. So James is my brother that comes with me on a Friday, and he was laughing his ass off because we were at the till and I had like 6 or 7 items, and he was checking every brand to see what I'd bought. And it was so funny just to see him like using my buying habits as his knowledge base. It was quite funny. So it's interesting.
As a manager, that's a good thing to do. Like I think.
Oh yeah, from his perspective,
to be honest, he should be doing that, but it's it's not great for us.
No.
But yeah, like the only what was the other thing I just thought of? There's another threat that I completely forgot already. Oh well, but yeah, that it's them getting smarter. Here's people getting smarter. Oh, a platform collapse, right? So like, or in the other side of that is the platform kicking you off. Which has been a big problem for people, which losing your account, that sort of thing. Like obviously these platforms are a massive opportunity for us, but also getting removed from them. I got a Vero the other day for Varley, which I haven't had before, and it was very like completely random. And again, you get a few. I've heard certain people get mass reported for that, and then instantly get banned off the platform without.
Yeah, I had 2 back about a year and a half ago. I had 2 back to back because I didn't understand what it was and I was very new to it. And I tried to. There's a knockoff game called Ghettopoly, which is just a Monopoly, but it's like a gangster one and it's got swear words and it's like got guns and stuff all over it. It's like a proper ghetto, like it's Ghettopoly, right? And I listed it, and they sell for like £100 on eBay, right? So really good money. I listed it and it got taken down. And I was like, I don't understand this. So I just put it back up again. And because I did that, I got a 7-day ban on eBay, and all my items got hidden for 7 days. And then more recently, Tasha put Kate Middleton in one of the titles for a coat that she wore, not knowing.
Really?
Not knowing, and that item got removed, and I can't. So it's currently unsold, and it's just sat there with resolve. I've tried to resolve it, and they're having none of it. I've taken Kate Middleton out, which is what they wanted, and they still haven't resolved it. So I basically got to delete that and re-upload it without all of the information that got added to it. So that was quite interesting. So you can't use people's name. I also got one ages ago for putting Barbie Pink on a TV.
Yeah, that was big when everyone, like, Barbie core was hardcore.
Yeah, because it was, so they did me for Barbie, so that was interesting.
So yeah, there's always that, but as long as you try and play as best you can and keep informed, you should be okay. But for example, stuff can get added that you unless you're looking at it all the time. I've had multiple bits of Barbie for ages and like never had anything. And then suddenly this was an item that was super old and been on the platform for ages, and that got hit with a copyright.
As a last sort of leaving point, we're going to knock on Andy's, I think it's Andrew's door. YouTubers, let's have a little talk about this. Do we think they're a threat? Because I have some controversial and quite brutal points on it, in my opinion, like from my perspective. So I'd be interested if you've got anything.
Do I think YouTubers are a threat to all business, for everyone? I think the same way they've made it easy to learn more information, like because there's so many people doing YouTube videos on it, that also makes it hard, right? Like realistically. But I think unless you're directly competing with some of these people, like I guess you say you're all directly competing for the same items on eBay, there's enough space, man. Like there's easily enough space. There's enough sales. There's enough space for kind of everyone to win for the most part. And if you consider them like a serious threat, then I just think it's a personal skill issue. I just think that's a you problem. But in terms of it making it a little bit harder for to start up, and there's not as much competition and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean there's always going to be that, but I think they're not an actual threat. They're not like actually going to be anything that stops you doing business. It just makes the learning curve easier. So that the people that might have taken them ages to learn and kind of figure stuff out and whatever. When you got YouTube videos and tutorials, it's the same with anything. Like anything nowadays, YouTube makes easier. Like you can go. Like if I want to learn how to wire in my light, I would have to sit through a manual, maybe read a book, or get some actual training. Even though I don't recommend this, I do not promote doing your own electrician, not being your own electrician. But I could look it up and be like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. And then you just follow step by step, and you're like, cool, I got it. If I want to learn a new recipe, if I want to do some arts and crafts, like there's just everything is made easier by YouTube. So saying it's a threat because it's made things easier is just doesn't matter. Like that's like saying nuclear war is a threat to this business. Like it's a threat to everything. Like it's made it's irrelevant. But I think you can figure it out yourself. There's still plenty of space. Are charity shop managers using it to educate themselves? I don't really think so. Like I think the odds of that are little because they still have to run the business in the way that works for them. But it's the impact that it should have on your business would be minute to how much you can get out of your business, that it should just dwarf it in comparison, and then it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
is my general take on it.
Yeah, so I agree with it. So AC Global was saying like the Mike Tyson card was good, and then it was like £100 odd, and then I finally found it at a car boot and it was worth 20 quid. So I do think that YouTubers have because they're giving the knowledge for free, right? They're giving you a specific one item. But if you're building your business on specific one items, there's not many people that would have been just buying and selling Mike Tyson cards, right? So that doesn't affect anybody's business. It just affects.
Do you think that was just YouTube though?
No, absolutely not. I think that was just ultimately it's supply and demand, right? And if we're going out and buying, like I could walk past that, and so could 400 other people at a car boot. But because we've seen a video on it, we might go, oh, we'll pick that up, and then that adds one more supply, right? And the demand isn't, and then eventually the supply will just go above the demand, and then the price starts plummeting. My opinion is if you're using YouTube as a learning thing from the start, it's all good. Like, it's great. I learned 90, well, not, I wouldn't say 90, I would probably say I learned like 60 to 70% of what I know based on YouTube. But if at some point you don't go past that knowledge base, like, there's people in the community that I respect and I've watched, but I would consider myself more knowledgeable than them now. So I think if you get to the point where you're just relying on YouTube for your knowledge, then you're kind of doing it wrong. You need to be.
Okay. So if there's Mike Tyson card, right? Take it as an example. It's product. Yes, again, YouTube probably expedited that issue. Like, and social media. Andrew's got a better point. Social media, it's like everywhere. Once someone has a grasp of, oh my God, this thing is in my, but the only difference it's made is put it in the information in a format that's more digestible. So, for example, if you wanted to, anyone could go to eBay and do research on playing cards, and then see, oh, what's popular recently, and that information has always been accessible. And to slate them for basically making something more digestible, like, it would be like the same thing as saying books are bad, right? Like, taking someone's knowledge on everything and then condensing it down into a book that's well written, and you're like, whoa, you're an idiot. Why are you making a book for people? It just doesn't make any sense, because the knowledge was out there and you can go figure it out. But having it in a more digestible content and an easier format and for entertainment value and for educational purposes, and being annoyed at that, I think is a non-point, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So yeah, not going on the threats list. Nuclear war, on the other hand, could squeeze its way on.
Donald Trump is definitely going on the threat list.
He can go on the threat list. And with that, me dying, has anyone got anything else to add before we leave this behind? I don't know. Did we enjoy it? Did we not enjoy it? Chris, did you get what you want out of your SWOT analysis?
I enjoyed it. I think it was good. From the outside looking in, I don't know whether it was as entertaining. I think the people that will watch this specific video will be people that are more like fucking on it. Like, no, so the people in the chat, for instance, they'll be the people that desperately want to get involved and see the meat in the potatoes of everything, right? But a more casual entertainment person might not be as sort of like in depth for it.
We've done 3 quite nerdy topics in the last.
We have. So
some numbers-based nerd topics. So
very nerdy.
I thought we might have put the casual viewer to sleep, but the people that like the in and out of things and think about
next week we'll make it more basic and sort of just a bit more jovial. I think we'll try and work out.
Well, we'll see what happens. Mate, don't make promises.
Okay.
Nerd alert. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting, and obviously with this list, there's a million more things you could.
Yeah, we could have gone through loads more.
But we only have so much time, unless you want a part 2. I'm vetoing part 2.
I was going to want a part 2.
Maybe next year. Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much for coming, everyone, and joining in. Appreciate you.
From a selfish perspective, I enjoyed it and I had fun.
Good. And that is all that matters. Now, outro. See you later.
See you later.